uses small ways of opening up the body, creating spiral movement through the body, moving all the tissues through the center core, as if we had a tea towel and we're wrapping the tea towel around the center core. All the tissues move, all the joints open, all the psoas, all the diaphragm, all the shoulders, all the way through the body, through the knees and into the ankles. This is why we start to move in these spiral, coiling motions. And what these coils do is they open up the whole of the body. But as the tissues move and expand and coil, they actually support all the joints and all the bone structures. So a lot of the time when we're moving in a limited flexion extension movement, we become very strong in this motion. But what happens when we move outside of this range of motion, we become weak and we're open to injury. So why we're bringing these movements in, as you can see, is all the tissues are wrapped through the joints and it creates one continuous motion. The motion starts from the core of the body, and actually you can see from the Fibonacci scale this perfect spiral. So we take a center point, which is the center of the spiral, and we actually move out from the center core, and then we can move back in. And we can create these tiny spirals all the way through the body, and really open up through the fascia, through the tissues, through the thoracic region, all the way down through into the hips and all the way through the joints. And this is the basis behind a lot of the spiral movements. And when we go deeper into the spiral practices, into the yoga forms, this will be the basis to the forms. What we're asking is that you imagine holding 2 cups and saucers on each hand. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your little fingers, and as if we had a piece of string wrapped around the little finger, what you're going to do is you're going to move in towards the body. And we can already see the spiral motion unfurling. And it engages the wrist, it engages the elbow, it engages the shoulder, it engages all the way down into the hip, all the way down into the leg. So it's a whole body, whole breath movement. We carry on moving in towards the little finger, keeping the hand upwards. And then what this creates is this spiral motion, opening up the rotator cuff and the scapula, opening up the shoulder joint, opening up the elbow and the wrist. And we'll be keeping this spiral motion, and this is very formulated around the breath. If we hold the breath, we hold in the movement. But if we keep the breath flowing, spiral motion moving, we have this continuous stream of energy, stream of movement. And this is the basis. Nothing ever stays still. So we're entering into a movement of continuous flow. This movement engages all joints, all the tissues. We can start to make these movements larger. So now we're coiling through the joints. So now we're taking all the tissues and we're wrapping through the body, and we're building up this strength. But this strength relies on fluidity. The fluidity relies on open movement. So if I have any tightness in my joints, I also limit the flow of movement. So we open, allow the breath to flow, start to gain a greater range of movement. And here we can start to control the movement with smaller circles, or bring it out into larger circles. Constantly drawing the spiral in the air. So now we're less engaging muscular tension, which creates a lot of heat, a lot of static movement, and we're now engaging fascia, breath, fluid movement. Again, you can move slowly. When we move slow, we move into a more conscious flow of expression. Becoming aware of every movement, every joint. We'll have this fluidity we can move into a faster set of movements. And you can see this in the Balinese dancers, in the dancers in Thailand, these soft, graceful, subtle movements. And also the shamans, when they were dancing around the fire, they would bring these movements into the dance. So this is one direction. You can move in the opposite direction, which is slightly more tricky. But like a lot of things in life, we usually choose the easiest option first. We're going to change the position of how we move. Usually we move from the inside outwards, but here we're going to move from the outside inwards. So as we raise the hands, and again imagining that we have a towel, we're going to wring this towel out. So we're holding our hands up. We engage through the hands. As opposed to engaging my hand outwards, I'm going to just engage the hands from the outside inwards. We naturally feel an engagement within the wrists, elbows, shoulders, and now it feels like somebody's grabbed my hand and is twisting me forwards. So the natural flow of momentum is to move down. But I can feel this strong engagement of tissues all the way through the front, all the way through the back, shoulder joints, all the joints through the arm. So moving down, spiraling down. And then when we become parallel to the ground, we're not going to come up from the waist. We're going to engage the hands again. Hands spiral outwards. Already feeling this spiral motion building up the energy into my thoracic region. Twisting through. Engaging in the elbows, shoulders. Now if I twist more, it naturally wants to bring me up. What's happening here is this twist, this opening backwards, is opening all the way through my front channel. It's creating a strong flow of energy. Opening through the tissues and then closing again. Starting to open up the back channel. Elbows, shoulders, floating down. Twisting backwards, staying parallel to the ground, engaging through the wrists, elbows into the shoulders, shoulders lifting you up, opening through the tissues of the chest, shoulders and arms, and really, wow, I feel tingling sensations coming all the way through my body and only through a few movements. And a strength, but not a strength that's limited to any one particular way of moving. It's a strength where I feel strong in all directions. And the joints aren't compromised in any direction. And like all the spiralings, we can start off from a basic foundation and we can go deeper and deeper and become stronger and stronger. So we're taking great care of our joints, great care of the fascia. We're mobilizing the joints to its fullest extent, and we're lubricating the joints. A lot of injuries happening, a lot of arthritis happening, a lot of problems happening as we get on in our lives. The joints aren't holding up. The fluidity isn't softening in the joints. But with this style of open, fluid movements, really opening up all the way through the spine, no holding in the spine, no compromise in the breath, no compromise coming through the hip region. So we get a whole body, fluid, strong. Everything coming from the core, creating spirals. and back to center.